Hello and welcome to another video from me, Rough Swordsman Wargamer. It's part 2 of a playthrough of a battle from the Men of Iron Tri-Pack, designed by Richard Berg and published by GMT Games. And the battle in question is Agincourt. In the last video we saw the French advance, but were repulsed by the English longbowmen and dismounted men-at-arms. They failed their continuation, so now it is the English to activate. So using the extended sequence of play, the first thing is the activation phase. It's a free activation, so the English can choose any battle they wish, and I think we'll choose Thomas Camoys' battle here. Okay, we then continue into the move fire phase. Place any replacement leaders? No, not yet. But before any unit is moved or fires, the non-active player can play either battle cry or treachery. They have a treachery. Now if you remember, that means they can disorder one unit before it does anything. And you know what? I think they will. They're going to play their treachery counter, and they're going to disorder this longbow unit. So it is now disordered, and you might be able to see under the D there's a little F-1, which means they have to take 1 off their die roll. So that's not too good for the English. Right, next, check that everything is in command range. The command range of Thomas Camoys is 3, so everything is in command range. And now we fire. They're not going to move, they're going to fire from where they are. If they did move, each missile unit would move and then fire, and then you'd move on to the next missile unit. And once the missile unit fires, that's the end of their move. So this one with the -1 is going to try and fire on this dismounted men-at-arms there. So let's see what we've got. We'll be using these, if you remember. So longbows, they are at 2 hexes away, so that's a +1. Terrain is clear, so no change there. But the firing unit is disordered, so that's a -1. So that negates that +1, and nothing else, I don't think, applies. So they're throwing as is. So let's see what they get. 9! Oh dear, that's not good at all. I think I've got this right. Here we are. The target is on foot and they are disordered. And a 9 is eliminated. Good job there was no leader there. So they are eliminated. Crikey. Oh. Yep, I forgot to take the -1 off, but even with that, it's an 8, it's still eliminated. That was the best they could have done. So, whoops, so that's gone. And we have to adjust the flight point track. And for that, for each eliminated mounted men-at-arms, dismounted men-at-arms. So that's 3 flight points for the French. So sorry for the bit of glare in the corner there, but this is on 3. We're off. We'll do the firing units first, and then we'll move, if we need to, this unit. I would rather them stay there. So we're going to try this one on this dismounted men-at-arms. It is 2 hexes away, so that's a +1. Terrain is clear, they're not disordered, so I think it's just a +1. See what these get. 6 +1, and that is also eliminated. Crikey. That's another 3 points, or flight points, 6. Now there is a rule that says at the end of every free activation, each side rolls a die and they add their flight points onto it. And if it gets to or exceeds one of those totals, the other side immediately wins. But at the moment, as you can see, we're not going to be able to do it even if we throw a 9, because they've got to get, the French have got to get 30 flight points. Bit more dodgy for the English though. Right, back to the battle. This does cause problems for this poor mounted men-at-arms there, because it will be out of command if Charles's battle gets activated. So they'll have to think about that. Right, this is the last longbow unit. It's going to attack. Now, can we attack through the woods? Don't think we can. We can fire out of the woods, but we can't fire into the woods. We can't see them. I think that's how it goes. So they can't do anything. Don't think it's worth moving this one. So I think we'll call it a day with that battle and try to activate another battle. So we've got Edward's battle here and the King's battle here. Edward needs 4 or less, but the French are going to try and seize it. And they are going to try and activate this battle to try and bring up some missile units. But the English will play their seizure negation counter, which negates that, and can now carry on with their continuation. So, Edward needs a 4 or less. So the French are out of seizure counters now. 4 or less. Now, hold on. The overall commander is, of course, King Henry. And the rules say that if the friendly leader is within command range of the overall commander, which Henry is, it can add its effectiveness to the roll. Let's have a look. The effectiveness is that little yellow number, or in the yellow box, not quite focusing. It's a -1. So they need a 4 with a -1. Oh, 5. Oh, -1 is 4. That battle is activated. Oh dear. Right. So under here we've got dismounted men-at-arms. We'll probably keep those there again. But this one. Now. Do we attack this? Let's go for this stack here, which has the dismounted men-at-arms, which are disordered, and Charles the leader. So 1, 2, that's a +1. Nothing else applies. I cannot believe the rolls the English are getting. 8 + 1 is 9. Dear oh dear. Oops. They're disordered, the target. They're on foot. They are eliminated. And as we threw an adjusted die roll of 9 or more, and there's a leader in the hex, we've got to check for the death of the leader. The leader will die on a roll of 8 or more. Right, so this one is eliminated. We get another 3 flight points. We now have to check to see if this leader is eliminated. Dear oh law. Right, 8 or more. No. Oh, sacré bleu. Mon Dieu. He is eliminated. If he'd have made that throw, he would have been displaced and I think put on the nearest unit of his battle, but he is eliminated. So 3 flight points for the dismounted men-at-arms and another 3 if you eliminate the overall commander. Whoops, where are we? There we are, overall commander. So that's 6 flight points. They're up to 12. So you can probably see why I didn't use any of the game balance rules for this battle. The French are having a hard enough time as it is. But this is a good introductory battle for people new to the system. Right, so we've got 2 longbow units left. We'll have this one fire at this dismounted men-at-arms unit there. So it's just a +1 again. So let's see what we get. We get a 5, whoops. 5 + 1 is 6, of course. And on the table it is retire. So this unit is moved back. There is a clear space all the way back to its standard. And gets one of those plopped on it. And when retired, they can't fire, initiate attacks, or basically can't do anything. And that has to be removed by an activation of the standard itself. But the French do incur another flight point. If that does get removed, then we adjust the flight point track. But for now, it's another flight point. And there we are, up to unlucky 13. Last unit to have a go is this one against the mounted men-at-arms. I think we can attack that. We can fire into the woods, not through them. I think you always have line of sight if you are adjacent. Let me know if I'm wrong. But the English have got the battle lust, so they're firing. This time it's +2 because they're only 1 hex away, but the terrain does affect the throw. For missile fire, it's going to be a -1, so they only get a +1 at the moment. Anything else? No, I think that's it, a +1. Eight! Oh, crikey. They are eliminated. They're mounted. They are disordered. Eliminated. We virtually wiped out their whole battle there. And that's another 3 flight points. Eliminated mounted men-at-arms. One, 2, 3, 16. And that is it. I don't think we'll move this one. We'll stay where we are. So that's the end of that activation. And we will try now to activate the King's Battle. And if you remember, that's the number at the top right-hand corner. And for the King, it's 6. So we need to throw 6 or less. Of course, we can't use the King's effectiveness on himself. So just a 6 or less. Look at that, 0. We're off again. So this time we will have... We'll keep... Oh, that's got moves. Move that across there. We'll have this one. 1, 2, 3, and just about do it, can't he? Yeah, thinking about this, moving this one up. Let's move that one up first. So we can move and then fire. And then 1, 2, 3 at that. We actually get a -1 for being 3 hexes away. So a -1. 7 minus 1 is 6. They are disordered. They're on foot. And they retire. Whoops, where are we? There we are. They retire. So they're out the game for a moment. We'll pop those there. And stick another one of those on. And I will adjust the track. They are now at 17. This one will fire at that one. 2 hexes away. A +1, nothing else. 5 + 1 is 6. They retire as well. So back they go. That's that battle gone, apart from the mounted men-at-arms there. And they move up one more on the flight point track. They're at 18. So that's the English battles taken care of. It is now time for the French to see what they can do. So it's their free activation. They've got a couple of choices. They could activate the standard, and this is the only time they can do that, during a free activation. And that will enable them to remove these retired counters. However, the units underneath will remain disordered until that battle is activated again, and then they do nothing during that activation, and then they can turn the counter over. Or they could activate Rambert's battle with all the missile units. Problem is, because of the nature of the terrain, some of these units aren't going to get close enough to fire their missiles. The archers only have a range of 2 hexes. Crossbows do have a range of 3, but at that range it's a -3 DRM. But I think we need to get these moving, and this will free up space for these other battles to manoeuvre and join in the fray. So we're activating that battle, but before that it says we can place any replacement leaders. And if you remember from earlier, we had Charles II of Orléans. He was eliminated, but they've sent a replacement, and we can pop that on that lone mounted men-at-arms unit there. Next it says the non-active player, i.e. the English, can play Battle Cry or Treachery. No point playing Battle Cry at the moment. And then we check for command status. Rambert has a command range of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But as we said earlier, there's this sort of chain effect. If this one's in command, any unit adjacent to that unit is in command as well. So they're all in command. So we now move. Now missile units can fire or move and fire, and it's done individually. The units have a movement value of 5 each. So for this unit, it's going to move along the road, so that's 1 movement point. So that's 1, 2, 3. Now we can fire. It can fire at those 3 units. If it fires at the dismounted men-at-arms under the king there, the worst they can do is disorder it. And the same with the unit with the Duke of York. If we fire at the longbow unit, there's a chance we can eliminate it. However, certain missile units, if they're fired upon, can return fire, and archers and longbowmen are one of those units. So if those archers fire on the longbowmen, they're going to fire back, and it is resolved simultaneously. But I think that's the best option. We've got to try and punch some holes, get rid of a few units. So here we go. The archers are 2 hexes away. And a quick look on here shows us that there is no DRM. The terrain doesn't matter, they're firing over the stake hex. I think that's it. They get an 8. They are disordered themselves. They are eliminated. But before that happens, the English return fire. They are 2 hexes away, so for longbow that's the +1, but they are disordered, so that negates that. And also when we throw the die, we've got to take 1 off of it because of the little number there. So let's see what happens. Dear, oh dear. So that's 8. And they are eliminated. They've both eliminated each other. Oh dear. Could make it up. Now for archers, it doesn't actually say on here what the flight points are. It's got longbow, pike, slinger. So I assume it's 2 flight points for an archer unit. However, it does say for longbow units, it says 2 flight points here for the longbow. But in the battle book, it says adjust the flight points for units as follows. 1 flight point for each eliminated English longbow. 3, as we know, for the wagon, and 4 if any English men-at-arms are eliminated. So just the 1 for the English. Well, there we go. Next unit. Let's bring that to here. So that's 2, 3, 4. And we'll fire at the Duke of York with his dismounted men-at-arms. Yeah, the French missile units aren't very strong. So that's an archer again. Nothing for the distance. It's a 0 for 2 hexes. Terrain is clear. I think that's it. As is. One! No! No effect. This one. Two, 4. 1, 2, 3. They're out of range. So that's that. Now we're on to the Genoese crossbow units. 2. Could go up there. So it's an extra 1 because we're going uphill. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, let's do that. And then 1, 2, 3. Do we fire at the king and his unit or at this disordered longbow unit? They're going to get a -3. Do the crossbows because they're 3 hexes away. But they only have to throw a 2 or 3 on that longbow unit to get it to retreat. But as before, the longbow unit will return fire. Yeah, let's attack the longbow because they are devastating. So -3, not much hope. Terrain's okay. Disordered when firing, no. I think that's it. -3. 4. Oh. -3 is 1. No effect, even though they're disordered. But the longbowmen are firing back. They are at a -1 for range. They're okay for terrain. They are disordered, so that's a -2, and they get a -1 on their die roll. So -2 and another -1. Oh, 8. Sorry, you can't see that. 8. Dear, oh dear. 8 -2 and another one. 5. They're disordered. Are the French. There we go. This one. I can move again. 2, 4. It's going to have another go at this longbow unit that's disordered here. They are at -3 for their range. They're not disordered, no. So -3. No, 0. So that's nothing, but the longbowmen return fire. They are at 3 hexes away, so that's a -1. Another -1 because they are disordered. -2, then plus the -1 off the die roll. 6. -3 is 3. No effect. And lastly, Rambert himself with some more Genoese crossbowmen. 2. I'm going to block in this one. But I think this is going to be a do or die mission. 4. 1, 2, 3. Once again, trying to do something with that disordered longbow unit there. So -3. -5. And like I said, a low roll is only needed to retreat them. They retreat. Where are they going to go? They're going to go there, I suppose. So that's the free activation out the way. Next would be the loss check, but the English only have 1 and the French have 20. It's getting near though. Even if they threw a 9, it'd be 29. Oh, but everybody's okay at the moment. So we're going to try and activate this battle. Alençon's battle. Some more dismounted men-at-arms and their leaders. Activation rating is 3. The new replacement overall leader can't be used because even though he's in range, he has no effectiveness value. So it's just 3 or less. We could use a seizure opportunity, but again, they need a 3. If the English lose their seizure opportunity, the French get another free activation. And the English don't like the sound of that, so they're going to let that battle have a go. They need 3 or less. 7. No. So that is it. It is now the English to have a free activation. And we'll be right back. Right, it's time for the English to have their free activation. But before we do that, a couple of little things I think I may have done wrong. One of which was placing this leader. I think we can only place replacement leaders when we activate that battle. So that's removed for now. And as this doesn't have a leader, I believe it can only be activated during a free activation. And the other thing is concerning the archers' flight points. Couldn't find anything about the amount of flight points archers are worth, but just before I started recording, I looked through the battle book and it says here, design note, the French considered the lower class bowmen unworthy of attention, and certainly not a great source of possible ransom money. So from that, I assume that they're not worth any flight points. Again, let me know. So we're going to readjust the French flight point track back to 18. And now I think we're ready to start. We've got a free activation. Let's just pop that back on there for a minute. I think we're going to activate Quemoy's battle. So looking through the extended sequence of play. So it's the move fire phase. First thing is place any replacement leaders. No. There are no seizure counters for the French to play. Check command status. Yes, we're okay for that. So we can now move our troops. I think we're going to move this one up. And now fire on these crossbowmen. I think this one is going to try and fire at this unit here. 1, 2, 3. That's a -1. It is disordered, so that's a -2. And of course they get their -1 off their die roll there. So -2 with a -1 on the die roll. 8! Crikey. That becomes a 7. -2 is 5. They are disordered. And they retire. Dear oh dear. Back they come. And another point on the flight track, which I'll do. 19 for the French. This one will be attacking 1, 2, 3. This one, this Genoese crossbowman. Again, -1 because it's 3 hexes away, but it's not disordered. So yes, I think that's it, just -1. Just checking something there. Thought I'd done a boo-boo. -1. 9. Would you believe? I can't believe the English die rolling results. I know it was very one-sided, this battle, but crikey. So 9, -1, 8. They are normal, so they're just disordered. And I tell you what, I think I made a note in the video for this one. I didn't think it had line of sight through the woods here, but I believe if it goes down a hex spine, which this does, and one of the hexes is clear, we do now have a line of sight. Again, let me know if I'm wrong, but that's what I'm going to be doing. They're going to be firing at these mounted men-at-arms here. They're 2 away, so that's a +1. The terrain is in the woods though, so that's a -1, I believe. Yeah. So that negates that. So it's as is. The unit firing isn't disordered. No, no, no. So let's see what they get. 8. Crikey. I'm so sorry. 8. 8. Target mounted. Unhorsed. And there are separate counters for unhorsed units. And this is where this little number comes in, number 2. Because we have an unhorsed unit. There's the little number 2. And it will replace that unit. And once again, these will just wait and see what happens. Okay, that's the free activation. We are going to try and activate the King's battle here. He has an activation of 6, so we need to throw 6 or less. 1. Okay. So we're going to move this one up. And we're going to fire on this archer here. So 2 away, that's a +1. No other DRMs, I don't think. So +1. Oh dear, oh dear. They are disordered. The king himself could rush out and attack, a little bit dodgy, but if the English win this shock combat, they would have to advance. And they're starting to move away a bit from the line of battle there. So I think we'll keep him there. Now, this, not a lot we can do with that one. So we're going to try and activate it and then do nothing. 1, 2, 3, because I want to try and get this back to full strength. But we've got to activate it first. Activation of the Duke of York's battle is 4, but because we've had a successful continuation with the king, we have to add a +1 onto the die roll. So we need a 4 or less with a +1. 3 +1 is 4. They've done it. So we can put one of these on it. And what would happen is that if we wanted to, we could do things with the other units in that battle. And because we didn't move that one, at the end of the activation, we can return it to its full strength. And this is done during the rally phase here, which says any disordered units that did nothing for the entire activation and not adjacent to an enemy unit can be returned to normal. So we'll do that. And that's the end of the English activation. I'll tell you what, I'm going to end the video there, and also I think we're going to end the battle. The poor French have suffered enough, and I think actually with this small battle, hopefully you've got an idea how the system works. I've tried to incorporate most of the things that go on. The only thing we didn't try was a charge, and for instance, a charge, I believe, if you move up and you're within 1 or 2 spaces of an eligible unit, you designate that one to charge, and during the shock phase this would move up, say for instance up to here, and would attack, in this case, only the king. Because these stakes are there, it can't actually attack that one and doesn't suffer the fate of having to attack 2 at the same time. But we didn't get round to that. But I think most other things were covered. Again, I've used this battle as an example of how to play the game, show the mechanics. It's a great little battle, as I said before, to get your feet wet with the Men of Iron series. Yes, a bit one-sided, but that's the nature of this battle. The bigger battles in the box are much more involved, and I'm sure you'll find them enjoyable. What do I think of this? Well, it's my opinion. I've had great fun learning and playing this game. Critics of the game say things like the longbows are overpowered. Yes, they are, but I still think it's great fun. And with a bigger battle, you've got charges, you've got counter charges, pikemen and all that. So I hope you've enjoyed this little playthrough I've done of Agincourt from the Men of Iron tri-pack. Lots of battles in it. And you found it helpful. If you did, and you haven't done so already, it would be wonderful if you would consider subscribing to the channel, because believe me, it really does help. Push that like button of the video, the thumbs up, the bell if you want to be informed of other content that the channel uploads. Leave a comment. Again, I'm sorry I didn't complete the battle, but as I said, I think the poor old French have been through enough, and you can see what's sort of going on with the mechanics of it, I hope. And just before I go, one last thing. If you want to support the channel a little bit further, well, now you can. You can buy the channel a coffee. Doesn't cost much, and all those coffees do indeed go towards new content for the channel to upload. There'll be a link in the description for you to check that out if you wish, and thank you. So, till next time, as always, you take care and goodbye.